Hello and welcome to Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into this Tuesday's episode, I want to talk to you about our Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/Drive-In Double Feature Podcast, and you can get a bunch of and you can get a bunch of content over there for only $5 a month. You help support the channel. None of the main show content is locked behind Patreon. But getting into this
I,
Tuesday's
I'm. I
episode,
just want to
oh, what's
say
up?
I'm so glad it's not free content. It did
I'm
because
glad
it's so good you have to pay for it.
yeah, it's so good you have to pay for it. Unlike our main show podcast, which is free, we can give this stuff away.
Free slop.
Yeah, free slot for the masses. Oh no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, we are continuing Halloween week, and let me tell you, we're covering something that isn't slop because it's in the Criterion collection, so you know it's good. We are going to be talking about Kuroneko. Kuroneko is directed by Kaneto Shindo, the director of Onibaba, which is probably his most famous movie, the Japanese horror movie. Well, we're talking about another movie of his, and that's Kuroneko, which means a black cat. It also has the title in Japan of Black Cat in a Bamboo Grove, a little bit longer. I kind of like that title, Black Cat. It's got me thinking about another classic with Christina Ricci, That Darn Cat. I get these two movies just confused all the time. I'm like, someone was like, "You want to watch That Darn Cat?" I'm like, "Oh, I love Japanese cinema."
That's what they say in this movie. That's like the catchphrase of this movie. Like
Oh.
whenever one of these samurai died, like their dying words are "that darn cat."
And trust me, we're going to be hearing that a lot in this movie. But I do own the Criterion for this one. I bought it in the last sale. I only watched the movie though. I didn't get around to any of the special features. So this just sounds like another podcast. I can't put my finger on it where something like that might happen, but I don't know.
Movies with a backbone.
Yeah, movies with a backbone. But Ryan, I will say I bought it. It was a complete blind buy. And have you ever heard of this one, Ryan?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it before, and I
Yeah.
still haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do it. I didn't watch it. Even more like this podcast I know. But just to say, I do love the cover of this Criterion because it's a woman in the middle of like a bunch of trees and she's holographic. And if you look at it one way, she's not there. If you look at it the other way, she's there.
Well, what's the spine number, Nathan?
I don't have that on the top of my head. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish I had that and a review of the
Does it
spine.
does it feel good in your hands when you hold it?
Oh, I love it. There's nothing like getting a Criterion and holding it in my hands. The Godzilla book, that one's just so easily holdable in my hands.
Yeah, it's right. Fits so perfectly on my bookcase.
Yes, yeah, it doesn't sit on top of the bookcase or anything.
No,
But
slides
it
right
is
in.
cool. It's cool that it exists.
I'm glad all movies are that size.
Could you imagine? It's not even like vinyl size. It's like bigger and thicker than even a record.
Yeah, it's like the size of like a world atlas or something.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
yeah.
and you like just imagine if all movies were like that, but it's just one disc.
Yeah, just one disc in the middle, not even like special features or like a little card or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. But getting into Kuroneko, right off the bat, I can say that this movie is gorgeous. It's a movie all about looks and capturing a certain visual style, and that's just right off the bat. In the beginning of the movie, it's a bunch of samurai rolling out of the forest, and it's just a lot of greenery. It is black and white though, but it's a lot of like forest, and it looks, I don't know, it's very lush, and the way the blacks and the whites are captured, it's perfect.
Yeah, it looks really great. I mean,
Mhm.
even they don't there's not a whole lot of talking in this movie either, which is, perfect for a podcast, but it just
I'm trying to pull something out of it. I'm like,
no,
we can do it.
no, you're good. It's no, I it looks great. I mean, because there is like this really foreboding, ominous like tone to it when they see these group of like bandits or samurai like descending upon this little village.
Yeah,
And
it's very moody. And
Hmm.
yeah, and these samurai roll up, and there's two women alone in like this house, and it's just like, oh God, uh-oh.
They're like, oh, they're here to take care of them. They're here to, like protect them.
Yeah, because
And
samurais are good guys, right? No,
that's what I learned from Seven Samurai.
exactly. No, these are bandits, and they have rolled up. Well, I guess they're not bandits, but they're just samurai in the middle of the Civil War, and they've showed up to this house, and they take the food, but they also rape and kill both the women and burn down their hut. So they do possibly the worst thing that could happen. And you know what? A cat shows up, a black cat, by the way, and just starts licking all the blood up. They doing the thing that cats are supposed to do when you die. They like eat on you. That's what this cat's doing to these two ladies.
Is that what happened? The cat ate them?
I don't think it ate them, but it definitely nibbled on them, got a little nose or something. I don't know. But I do. The cat acting is always the best. I don't know. There's just something about it. Getting a cat to do something that's like almost impossible. So just to get this cat to look at the camera and everything, I think that's cool.
Yeah, it was good cat acting. I appreciated its acting prowess.
Well, then you'll be upset to hear that the Razzies nominated it for Worst
Oh,
Actress
oh,
that year.
oh, well, of course they did. And and it's underage too. Of course they would do that.
Yeah, of course they're like, oh, a child cat, yeah, a kitten. Let's give it a Razzie. Could you imagine? I feel like they would get more outrage than the Firestarter girl, like getting
But then
nominated if they like the dog
uh,
from the artist,
that's what I was exactly thinking. The duck from the artist,
Skippy or whatever.
Uggy.
Uggy. If they nominated him, there would be a mass outrage. I actually
We're,
think it
we're
would be worse than that.
we're supporting actor going to a dog.
That it'd be kind of funny. I'm sure the dog would show up and be happy to be there. Uh,
Yeah, he do a little handstand or whatever he does.
yeah, yeah, or like at the Oscars when the dog clapped last year for
Which
Anatomy of a Fall.
oh, that's right. That's a good dog.
That is a good dog. I mean, there's a lot of good animal actors out there. This is an aside, but I have met the pug from Men in Black, so that's the
The
I
pug?
no. Okay, so Universal as animal actors, and I got as an incentive, I could go to the animal actors behind the scenes, and they had a pug dressed in a suit, like the pug from Men in Black, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is him." I'm like thinking, oh, Men in Black was a while ago. And this dog doesn't look that old, so I think they're just dressing up dogs and saying it's the pug from Men in Black.
Probably.
But I'm gonna say, I
It
met him.
what? It was
I
Frank.
met him. Yeah, I met Frank. That's right. That's his name. He didn't talk though, so
Well, yeah, he wasn't paid to talk. He didn't have any lines.
that's true. Yeah, he's like, I'm not talking if I'm not paid for this. Um,
But getting into my favorite talking pug, is Kuroneko.
yeah, let's get back into the movie. That was a lot. Um, but so what happens is we see we see the rape and murder, and then cut to a little bit later, and there's just a samurai walking around, and this ghostly girl walks up. And I think you're not supposed to know at first, and it's supposed to be just have an eerie feeling, but the girl kind of floats in and beckons the samurai in and is like, "Hey, I can't walk in the dark. It's scary. Can you take me home?" And the samurai is just like, "Hell yeah, I'll take you home."
No, the actually his first thought, because usually in like these movies or like just horror movies in general, it's always very unassuming, like oh, that's not a ghost, that's a real
Hmm.
human. But he does say
He
before
does say it,
he
yes.
said, "What are you, a ghost?" And she's like, "No, I'm not a ghost."
Oh, okay. I
It's
believe
like,
you.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you were right. You were right the first time.
Yeah, and I think it's just part of like I am not an ambassador of Japanese culture by any means, but I do
You
think there's
told
a
me you were.
I'm sorry, I'm not. I lied to you. I'm not. But I do
Wow.
think there is a lot of superstition, supernatural stuff. Like a lady in the forest, I think does have it's like a ghost figure. Like it's hard to explain because I have read a little bit into the plot of this movie, and it's just based on a legend. And Onryo, which is like the ring pretty much of a woman dying and then coming back to haunt men. That's kind of what the deal is here. It's a retelling of that story.
Yeah, there's a lot of folklore stuff in this where it's it's basically like one of those old like Japanese folklore tales where
Mhm.
it's like, oh well, this mother and daughter duo like come in and just kind of take in these unassuming men and just make them feel really safe, and then they just murder him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just repeating that. And that's what this movie almost has a rhythm to it. It's really interesting of like them taking in men, killing them, and then repeating that. And it all kind of builds up over time. And you kind of see how these different men react. Of course, some men come in and they're like really just like, yeah, yeah, I got to get it here. There's two women. Okay. But then excuse me, but then there's a guy that like he's walking her through the forest and he turns around and pulls a sword on her. Like he is like, I'm not messing with this. So you kind of get to see it all. It's interesting. I could see this being a little boring to some because it's definitely like it's repetitive. It's a movie that's like it repeats itself quite a bit, at least for the first 30.
No, yeah, it does, but I do like the mood that it sets for it.
Hmm.
They they kind of go like what I was trying to figure out though is, was there a pattern to any of this? Because when they showed that rape scene at the very beginning of the movie, like they do a lot of
Hmm.
close-ups on of like the faces of the guys,
Hmm.
and I was thinking like, oh, is that going to be like the whole thing where it's like a, oh, I'm going to get each one of these samurai that
Hmm.
raped me or whatever. But it doesn't seem like these were any samurai in particular, or if they did, they weren't. I couldn't tell.
No,
So
I thought the same thing, but from what I could tell, it wasn't the specific people. It wasn't revenge against those people. It was just kind of revenge against all men, all male samurais, which I guess samurais could only be men. So it's just revenge against samurais because, as we learn later in the movie, there is a deal made with the devil, who and it's like I have to kill samurai. That's the deal we made is we're going to have to kill samurai for the rest of our lives, and it's just going to be that on repeat. Um, and I think it's interesting that everyone finds out that there's ghosts here, like, and everyone's just in on it. Like really early, they're like because there's a nearby town. And the leader's like, well, there's ghosts killing all my men in the middle of the night, so we need to make sure that we get someone over there to kill them. So everyone knows that there's ghosts haunting and taking men.
and he's like, I can't sleep at night,
Yeah, if I
and
remember right, he's the one who's like drenched in sweat at one point in the movie. Isn't there a point where like they're sweating so much it's a pool of sweat on the ground? Or
wasn't that a
that
different? Or was that a different guy?
that might be a different guy, but I just remember that imagery of like a guy sweating into just a wet pool of sweat in front of him. Um, and oh, I gotta say, the way the ghosts kill the people, it's so creative. Like this movie's all about look because these ghosts float around and it's like quick, rapid cuts of them dashing in between the shots. It's kind of interesting for the late 60s. I wasn't expecting something so fast with its editing.
Or like they're floating in the trees.
Hmm.
They show that too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that's really cool. Um, but as we learn in the movie, these two had well, one's the mother and the
The what?
one's the wife of this man who had to go off to war, and he wasn't there to protect her because he kind of just got pulled out of the farm to go fight in this war. Well, he's actually a really insane fighter. As we learn in when we first see him, he slices the head off of a person and he stands in front of somebody holding this guy's severed head. And it's a really long scene of him explaining his fight
It,
to kill this man.
I like it because he's so enthusiastic about it. And he's just
Hmm.
like, he's like, yes, I went in there, and they're like, he's and the I guess it was the elder or the leader of the village. He was like,
Hmm.
so what happened? It's like everyone's dead. It's like, what about my 2,000 men? All dead. And it's like, oh yes, yes, good, good. And he's like, but I did kill the main guy. See, I got his head. It's like, okay, now give it to me in graphic detail. It's
Yeah.
like, so I walked in. This guy, he was strong as a boar, and he
Mhm.
put up a hell of a fight. But I did it. I chopped off his head. And he's like, and they asked him. They're like, so what's your name? He's like, I couldn't remember my name, so I just said my name was Gentoki of the Grove.
Yeah, and he definitely seems like a different man because he's so disgusting. Like his hair is nasty, and he gets all the women of the village to wash him. They just strip him naked and they wash him with water and laugh the whole time.
Which the I do like they dump a bucket of water on his head and he just gets progressively cleaner
Yeah,
as they dump the
I
water on
I
him.
thought it was funny because like yeah, it cut like between every one, and he just was cleaner and cleaner until he was a cleaned up samurai. And that's when he goes back to the village and he gets tasked to attack these ghosts. He learns that his wife and the wife's mother have both died along the way, and soon he makes the connection.
Don't you think it was a ridiculous ask to ask somebody to go kill a ghost?
Yeah, I don't. I guess.
Like you wouldn't say like, I want you to go like do you, ghost
I
hunters
get
are like,
yeah.
I need you guys to go kill some ghosts.
Yeah, I get, yeah, it's not because like even in Ghostbusters, they usually capture the ghosts. You can't get rid of a ghost,
Like
right?
just imagine if they shot a ghost with a proton pack and this ghost just like fell dead on the floor.
That would be a different movie, but that sounds kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. That is a weird ask to be like, no, don't unhaunt it or something. Don't do a ritual. You're gonna get your samurai sword and you're gonna kill them. But I guess it works because that's what happens. He fights the ghosts.
He does fight the ghost,
Yeah.
and it's apparently he's the only one strong enough to kill a ghost.
Yeah, I guess he's just that good. And they always talk they keep talking about how all the women want to be with him. They say that a few times.
Yeah,
Um but he does meet up with the two ghosts, and the whole time he's like, "You look just like my wife. You look just like my wife." Um and
my
yeah,
wife.
they meet up, and then the wife can't kill him and decides to I want to sleep with him and I want to be with him, but that sends her to hell. So she gives up her ghostly existence and will spend eternity in hell just to be with this man for a little bit longer, which she does. Um, but the mother is not so willing to do that, and she.
I would hope not.
Well, I mean, she's not willing to just be like, "I'm not going to kill him," and you know what? She's not willing to give up. She's like, "No, I have to kill you."
No, so like the whole time he's very conflicted about this whole thing because he's aware that these ghosts are his wife
Mhm.
and mother. So when he has to go back to the elder and it's like, did you kill them? And it's like, I'm working on it. Like
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. And then just the guy is starting to get like more frustrated with him because he's very conflicted because they are ghosts, but they look exactly like his wife and mom.
Mhm.
So there is like a really big inner turmoil type of thing. And like you said, once she does go to hell, he does go back to the elder and he's like, one's dead. And he's like, good. Now you should go kill the other one. But he's like, he's really distraught over this too. And he's just,
Yes.
because like even like the elder is like, oh, great job. And he like gets really angry at the elder and he's just like, hey, no need to get mad, that type of thing.
Hmm.
So uh it's very, it's just showing like he's just kind of losing like his whole mental stability during this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the end becomes, because it does become a battle between both of them, and it's not quite as easy as he beats the ghost, and it's a good ending. It actually ends up being a depressing
Yeah.
ending.
Well, what I do like is they do show there's a lot of scenes where it's implied that they're basically cat people now
Yes,
because
yeah.
there are scenes where they'll have like makeup on the women to make them look like cats, or it's like they
Mm-hmm.
shave their eyebrows, or like their eyes look very cat like.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, he does get into his fight with the mom ghost, and he does chop off one of its arms, and it's a cat's arm.
Yeah, I love the visual of that because he's holding the cat arm and he takes it away from the mother. And the mother at one point is like, "I'm taking that back." And she like snatches it back from him, this little cat paw.
Yeah, well, because he takes it back to the elder, and he's just like, I see, like, I here's the proof.
Uh-huh.
And he tries to do like a ritual on the arm because he doesn't want to send his mom to hell.
Yeah, of course.
So he's trying to cleanse it, but the mom shows up like in disguise and tries to take the arm back.
Yeah, and I like the reveal of like who she is under all that because they're walking through the forest and then they look in the water and she has like that crazy makeup through the water, and that's when they have the showdown in the middle of like the forest. Um,
Yeah.
but no, um, this movie is, I thought it was really neat. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, it's not like a scary horror movie, but it has all of the horror tropes. You know, it's got a mood. It's a moody movie with a dark theme. So I'm Ryan, before you say it, it's a horror movie. Okay, don't try to dispel me or anything.
I was literally about to ask you the question.
Yeah, no, but I do think it is a horror movie because it does deal with ghosts and like kind of like and weird supernatural elements. Not really scary, but I,
now,
I would I would give it that.
now, do you think people in Japan like watch this movie back then and are just like, oh my God, I just like shit my pants watching this movie?
Probably. I'm sure at least one person shit their pants during this movie.
They're just like,
The
oh my
fear.
God, the cat.
Ah! Yeah, yeah, I imagine. But no, well, what about you? Do you think it was a horror movie?
It wasn't very scary, no, but
Mhm.
it's a very moody type of movie, like a very eerie tone to it. So
Mhm.
yes, I do think it's a spooky movie.
Okay, perfect for the season. But yeah,
You got the kids are coming to the door. You got Kuroneko playing
I got a classic playing in the background, kids.
like one kid sees it and says, "Oh, Kuroneko."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be playing when I'm handing out candy.
I
Be
hope
the
so.
Kuroneko soundtrack on my speakers in my front yard.
You're playing like Kuroneko, Onibaba, like
Yeah, I'm trying to.
House.
Yeah, just Japanese horror. No, no, House. The the George Wendt house.
Yeah, William Katz.
Uh-huh. Um, but no, Kuroneko, I recommend it. If it sounded interesting, you watch it. I think it's a cool looking movie. It's moody. It's interesting. I liked it.
It's very good. I liked it. It does set the mood perfectly. I definitely say give it a watch. It's really fun movie.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I do think that wraps it up for today. But Ryan, remind us, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we're gonna be doing it again. We're gonna be doing a movie we already did before. We're gonna we're gonna be doing Night of the Living Dead.
It was time for a remake.
No, we're just watching the movie again, the one we did on the
No,
1968 version.
I meant remaking the episode. It's time
Oh
to,
yeah,
yeah,
right, of course.
yes, of course.
Oh, my mistake. I thought I said remake. I what I meant was we were remaking the episode, but we're going to be watching the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Oh, I gotta watch that before Thursday, which is when
Yeah,
we record these.
yeah, today's Tuesday, so we're going to be watching Night of the Living Dead, which is free on Pluto TV right now.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. But if you want to send us an email, you can email us at drivingdoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. You can also go over to X and tweet at us over at the IDF Pod. But until next time.
Until next time.